This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to WFO Radio. I'm Joe Castello, and we're starting off another week, a race week in the world of the National Hot Rod Association. Camping World Drag Racing headed to Summit Motorsports Park, America's racetrack, and we'll be connecting with the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, just seconds from now. Hit with some bummer news not long ago, and obviously the drag racing community going to be shaken by the loss of Kyle Seipel, who was a friend to all racers in a long, prolonged fight with cancer, and just found out not long ago. At the start of the show, normally we would get into our sponsors and the people who make it all possible for us to do this and talk about drag racing, something that we all mutually love. I know that most of the people who watch WFO are diehards. And as much as we try to get the casual fans in and bring them into the world that we all know and love, I think we all know and love it because we're racers at heart. And I think about Kyle and, his mom, Georgia, who I met a couple of years ago for the very first time. And that's when you really get to know someone. And it's just hitting right now. This is very new. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring on Alan later on in the show. I'll tell you about the people who make it possible. But right now, Alan joins us from the broadcast booth up there at America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Park. Alan, welcome back. Tough news here to start the show.
Yeah, I actually just heard about it less than an hour ago. He had been sick for a while, and we all knew that. He'd been fighting it for a long time. It's just terrible. I think the only way I can try to feel a little bit better about it, if that's the right term, is just, at least he's not sick anymore. The last couple of times that I saw him, he really looked, like he was struggling and very uncomfortable. It's just awful. He was, like you said, good guy, always willing to help somebody that needed it. Came from a racing family, ran the racetrack out of Sonoma after his mom retired from the position, he took it on. And, he and Peter Biondo had been doing the sling bracket races now for a few years. And, their concept when they started that was simple. It's like, there's a lot of things that we think the racers want, and we're going to give it to them. And they put a lot of time and effort into that. And, just trying to give back a little bit. They've both been to so many events where they felt like there was a better way to do it. And so they wanted to do it, and they did that simply for the racers. But, there's not a lot of guys that have double digits in division championships, which he does. It was always the running joke. He and Justin Lamb were great friends, and they were partners in a couple of race cars. He and Peter, of course, great friends. But when they would go to the banquet, they'd sit around the table, and it would be Justin and Peter and Jimmy DeFrank and Kyle. And Kyle would be the one to brag about, hey, our table has 23 world championships amongst us. Kyle never had one of those, but really just because he didn't chase the point. But it was just, that was one of the things that I'll just always remember him for. He'd go stand next to Anthony Bertozzi and go, yeah, between us, we got 18 championships. And, he had tremendous success on the racetrack because most of it was at the divisional or regional level. He simply didn't chase a lot of national events to chase national points with all that he had going on, out in California in business and with his family and the rest of the stuff. But it's just, no matter how much we all knew it was coming, it's still a really, really bad day.
Yeah, exactly. And just the community has been hit so hard. Diane O'Neill recently, a long, prolonged fight, and they fought so good. They fought so hard. But sometimes you can't win that fight against cancer. And it's just brutal. Thinking about Kyle, the person who I knew pretty well, but not nearly as well as other people. So I don't want to make it like that. I want to talk about the talent. And I remember speaking with Bo Butner when Bo was running Super Gas out there at Infineon. And it's like, I never met a person who could tell you what the car is going to do, like over the phone through the numbers, like the talent of being able to manipulate throttle stops and weather conditions, like that next level talent. That's what separates the greatest of the great. When we talk about it here, like he had that. And it's just like, yeah, it was accessible, and he helped so many people win races that a fan in the grandstand or someone watching on NHRA.TV maybe didn't know that he was on the other end of the phone line, giving a piece of advice or a suggestion or something like that. But I happened to overhear it, like, oh, again. Like, yeah, well, he was on the phone. That level of talent in our sport, like, that's just, it's so something to admire. And he had such great success, and even the promoting, as you said, knowing what the racers needed to feel to be appreciated and what made a race fun. It's just so sad. But as you said, I think about myself in that situation, and what would I want? And so, I just hope that Kyle is able to rest in peace and, watch over the drag racing community as best as he can as we continue on.
Yeah, we'll certainly miss him, and no place more than when we go back out to Sonoma, just a couple of months or so. That I'm sure that we'll do something out there and acknowledge, just because of all that his family and he did for the facility and for that part of the country, and he's going to be missed and not sick anymore. And when my mother went through her cancer fight and got down towards the end, it's still awful that she's gone, but to not have to see her sick anymore, I'm glad I won't have to see Kyle sick anymore, because he really didn't look like he was comfortable. He wasn't enjoying life. I hate that he's gone, but hopefully, like a lot of people say, that he would be in a better place right now.
Yes. Well, exactly. And, to everyone, whatever it is that you believe, like, life is energy, and what do we know about energy, right? It moves and into different forms and facets. And so he was an amazing energy, that's for sure. Like, in the conversations, in brief, very short, very brief conversations, a lot was learned, a lot was appreciated. And what can we say? And yeah, going to Sonoma is going to be both very difficult and also hopefully a great celebration of his life. But I can tell you this, in my opinion, and I want yours as well, Kyle loved drag racing, and he loved our style of drag racing. He loved NHRA drag racing and Lucas Oil Series drag racing, sportsman drag racing, bracket racing. And so as we get ready to go to Summit Motorsports Park, I think that, if we could ask him, what he would tell us right now is to, go all out in our enjoyment of this amazing race we're about to have, and the fact that we all get to be together again and enjoy it. And so that's what we're going to do. And we had this great show planned, and we're going to go on with the show and raise the energy level a little bit, because, man, the entry lists are looking great. You're already there on the property. You were out at Lebanon Valley this past weekend. And so let's talk a little bit of drag racing. How about it?
Let's do that.
Let's do it. And this one will be for Kyle, as will many in the near future. I guess before we talk about Summit Motorsports Park and the Nationals there, give us the update on Lebanon Valley. You've been driving from New England to New York, and now you're in Ohio. You're getting a tour of the northeastern part of the United States of America. Kind of cool.
Yeah, well, while it's 1,000,000 degrees back home, it's not a bad time to do it. And, I'll take the work wherever I can get it. One of the things with doing the regional events, it makes it so much easier on the promoters if there's not a huge travel thing. So with me staying out, not having to buy a plane ticket, not having to do that, makes it certainly more palatable for me to be able to do the regional event. Plus, I wanted to go try to find the trains again, even though I failed miserably. I apologize for last week. I really thought that doing a broadcast for Bentley's would be fun, but it seemed like there was some kind of an interference. I don't know if it was the Bluetooth or just too much background noise. But yeah, we had a good event in Lebanon Valley. We had good weather. We had some really good racing. Dwayne Shields won again. Danny Pomponio won an outlaw funny car. Brian Warner, the reigning world champ, even with a price on his head, mowed through the field and won in super stock. But no, fun event. 3 good days. And I mean, I'd never, ever wished bad luck on any other outdoor promoter, especially somebody who's in the racing world. But there was a threat of a storm coming through Lebanon Valley over the course of the weekend we were there. And as is tradition, they have got a big show on the dirt circle track on Saturday night. So we have to finish up by like 4 o'clock or 4:30 on Saturday because there'll be dust coming across the track and spectators coming in and blah, 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 blah. So we got through all of our stuff and got it done. They got started over on the circle track, and during the national anthem, it started raining, and they ended up having to cancel the event. And then we came back on Sunday morning to sunny skies and ran our event to conclusion. So I would never wish that on anybody.
Right.
But
since it happened.
It happens. You know?
Yes, exactly. It's just a statement of fact. It happened. You got a little bit lucky, and that is great news. I want to double back on a couple of things. The show from Bentley's. First of all, that's what it's about, being live, crazy experiences, fun things. Like, yeah, somebody was like, I couldn't understand. It's like, well, it was definitely more challenging, but Alan was in a great place. And I had just as many people reach out and say, like, the character of the show made it unique and fun. And so don't worry about that at all. Part two, the trains. So Race Guitar, one of our listeners who you may know, he's active on Twitter. He posted videos of someone else who went and found the trains. And I saw the trains. I don't know if you saw the video that he posted. Did you?
I'll go look it up.
Not worth it, brother. Not worth it. You had an hour hike. Once you got to the end of the dirt road, you had an hour hike and mosquitoes. The guy was being attacked by mosquitoes, vicious mosquitoes. So then I watched the whole thing in 10 minutes. I got the mosquito experience too while I was changing the tire, believe me. Okay. So when I saw the trains, I saw, they're neat. It's very neat. Those are old locomotives, and you could see the tetanus growing on them. And I felt like I had the experience through YouTube. And so I don't know, man, you should watch the video before you decide to go back, because it was a very, very well done video. The guy made you feel like you were his buddy, and maybe you don't need to go back again. Just saying. Well,
at this point, that would be admitting defeat.
Take on a new challenge. Don't admit defeat. Just ignore it. Come up with a new challenge, and we'll all be with you on it. We'll all be right behind you. Danny Pomponio, how about that? A big win in alcohol funny car. You mentioned Dwayne Shields. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The Northeastern Division, man, they're tough up there.
Yeah, no question. And, Rich McPhillips Jr. made it to the final round in alcohol dragster, even though he was not having his best day behind the wheel. And I think he'd tell you the same thing. But, made it happen. And, he's gaining more experience as he gets in the car. The knowledge he has from working on the car certainly helps, but the driving aspect of it's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, Dwayne Shields qualified number one and ran the table. So good on him.
Good on him. And Matt Cummings is going to be driving that car this weekend. Some people posting comments about Kyle. Obviously, that is welcome. Brandon saying Big Nasty and his legacy will live forever. He was just one of those guys who was loved by one and all. Godspeed, my friend. Totally agree. And, you hear about someone and then you get to meet them. And that has happened with me. Being from South Florida, I'm kind of isolated from a lot of the rest of the drag racing world, right? We are our own little island down here at the end of the peninsula. And, hearing about them, but then talking and interacting and then spending 10 minutes and then 20 minutes, it's just a different experience. Like, this is why everybody feels this way. And that's my favorite part of the job that I get to do, is like meeting people. As much as the cars are cool, it's the people that are better off. Good afternoon.
I think what I'll miss most about Kyle, and I won't know I miss it until it's just randomly. He would send a text message every once in a while. It was some like twisted joke or sick one-liner or something stupid, which I'm pretty famous for those myself.
Yes.
And it would just be so funny because phone would buzz, and I'd go, "Oh, look, it's Kyle. Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while." And I go, "Oh, geez, that's just awful. I need to forward that."
Yes.
And but that was another part of his personality, and a part of the reason that he was known as the Big Nasty.
Yeah. What are you going to do? And Lonnie said he was listening to Bob Fry announce a Hot Rod reunion this past weekend. I did a little racing this weekend. All of that. Trains were easier to get to by boat, someone says. Sammy Eubank's going to be out there in Norwalk. Exactly. It'd be easier
to get to by snowmobile too, but I didn't have snow.
How about helicopter? That would have been really easily. We'd just go find a helicopter and helicopter into that area, and you could rappel down to the trains, and then I'll pick you up in 2 hours, except that's not what happened.
Yeah. I actually thought about it. There's a couple places up there that have like float planes that you can charter, just to go take a tour. I mean, it's 3.5 million acres of wilderness, right? We're not talking about, a vacant lot down at the end of the street. But I don't know. I actually considered on the way out that next year I might contact one of those guys and go, "Hey, can we fly in and land? I mean, is that, it's a float plane, right? Can you land and just pull the thing up to shore? We'll go look at the trains and then fly us right back out of here." That would definitely be better than, as it was, I was 170 miles on the logging trails and didn't get there. I was still 30 miles short of getting there.
Plus an hour hike in the mosquitoes. Don't do it.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into real hardcore, because the entry lists for Norwalk, to me, it's the race of the year so far. 18 top fuelers, 18 funny cars, 20 pro stockers, 21 pro stock motorcycles, 19 pro mod, 27 factory stock showdown cars, 20 top alcohol dragsters. Like everyone, here we go. Middle of the country. It's open. Let's go drag racing. Like everyone should be descending on Norwalk. I don't care how far you live. 10 hours. Go, man. Alan Reinhart just drove an hour and 50 minutes on a dirt road to see nothing. And you can't drive 3 hours to go to a drag race. Come on now. But before we do that, Alan, those of the people out there who follow your Twitter feed saw you make a crazy announcement yesterday. We were live on WFO Ignition when the tweet came out. So I'm sure everybody wants to hear about that.
Are you going to yell?
If you, I don't want to be insensitive to your situation, but if you're okay with it,
go for it.
Dude, last night, Alan Reinhart tweets out that he had a fire at his house. What's up, Alan? Tell us about the fire.
Apparently, there was a problem on a power pole behind my house that started shooting out sparks and lit some grass on fire and lit my backyard on fire, and it burned up to the house. And, I haven't been there to see it, but they tell me that I'll be needing a new storeroom, probably needing a new jacuzzi. Back porch is going to get some remodeling. But didn't, as I understand it, didn't get to the actual living quarters of the house, just burned the backyard and burned a bunch of stuff back there. I guess I'll find out when I get home next week.
So it was a fire that started on the outside of the house that consumed a part of the outside of the house, which is great news. That's one of my fears.
Oh, yeah, great news. That's great news.
Great news that it didn't start inside the house, because that would have been so much more damaging. And that's probably why you feel comfortable not going home. I would be like, but you know, at least they got there. But what did you say? The fire department like kicked in the door and drug hoses through your house?
Well, they drug hoses through my house. They didn't kick in the door. They, my next door neighbor told me that fireman is headed up the walkway on a mission with an axe in his hand. And she went running over and said, I got the keys. And that the guy was disappointed, but he unlocked the door with the key and didn't get to knock it down with an axe. Fortunately, though, that made it much easier to secure the premises afterwards. No, I guess they drug a hose around inside the house, just making sure that nothing was inside. I'll find out when I get home. There's nothing I can do about it from here, and it's not going to get any worse if it sits there for a week. So it's going to sit there for a week, and I'll deal with it when I get home.
Keith Neiman, who is part of the Fools of Oz in Kansas and sent me this most amazing shirt that I plan to wear on one of these shows. Keith, sorry about your house, Alan. Hope it's not too bad. As much as I like making fires and it's my job, it always sucks to see people lose possessions. And Keith, he's a firefighter. There's so many first responders. Those guys, like, they save people, they save property. Very important, and that's why we love them so much.
I'm just trying to save the doors. When the shop fire, whatever, that's been like 10 years ago now, right? It's been a while. My next door neighbor at the shop had a fire, and it started early in the morning. I got there as the firefighters were just getting to work, and they had already opened up the shop on the south side of the unit that was on the north side of the unit. And I went up to the guy who looked like he was in charge, and I said, look, here's the keys. If you need to get in mine, he said, we'll let you know if we need those. And then they used gas chop saws to just cut the doors off the building. So, I think they had fun doing that. So I guess that's why the guy was disappointed when my neighbor had the keys. He didn't need the axe.
That makes sense. Well, they want the practice and the training, and you train all this time to put out fires and use all this cool equipment, cutting stuff and ripping stuff, and tearing through stuff. And here we go. And then there's the guys like, no, don't do it. It's like, sorry, man. We're doing it. That's why you got insurance. I don't know. I'm just happy that your home is okay. Monica says, glad your neighbor was there. Everybody's testing in Indy, getting ready for the weekend. And that's the proximity of the track. NHRA's got a couple of great pieces out there, but just, it feels really good to come back after New England. And we know why we had short fields up there. We know. And of course the doomsayers, right? Oh, this is it. Oh my God, game over, man. Aliens. And no, boom, Norwalk, 18, 18, 20, 21, full fields, the race within a race, and it's going to be tough to qualify.
Yeah, and that's what makes it fun, especially, Friday and Saturday night. Friday night will be big here because, and right now it's cool. And as I understand it, it's supposed to warm up a little bit during the course of the weekend. I mean, literally this morning when I left the hotel to go get breakfast, it was like 55 degrees. So it's still like mid 60s at the racetrack as I sit here right now. So I think Friday night should be fun because that'll be one that'll really take the pressure off if you get it. And if you don't get it, then you might be sweating a little bit more on Saturday. But it's always more fun when we've got more cars. There's no question in Epping that a couple of the teams were in test mode right from get-go. We know we're in. We're not really worried about that. So, we want to try this. Let's see what happens. But you're not going to be able to get away with that here. So it should be a fun weekend. I guarantee you, Bill Bader, and with us not being able to come here last year and with him being basically shut down for such a big part of the year, just because of local ordinances and the things that were going on up here, I have a feeling that he is ready for a breakout event, and I'm looking forward to it. He always does it so big and so special and so, added value, extra everything for the fans. I can't wait to see what he's got in store for us this weekend, but I think it's going to be good.
And a great chance to really support the sport of drag racing, right? At a facility that is absolute top notch, family owned. And they got hammered last year. We all remember one of those local businesses that relies upon and thrives upon being open, and no, you can't be open. And we all understand why and how here, a year later, it makes so much more sense. But at the very beginning, at this time last year, we knew a lot less about what was going on. So it was kind of just tough to take, right? Here we are a year later. The vaccinations are through the roof. Everybody is kind of doing the right thing. Keith posting about Sonoma, full capacity out there in Sonoma. So great news for California race fans. If you're out there and you want to come out, speaking of, doing something for Kyle Seipel out there at the track that his mom managed and they managed for so long, full capacity in California. If that doesn't tell you what the attitude should be right now for a drag racing fan, I don't know what is. And to me, it really gets started this weekend. That the summer, like yesterday or Sunday, I think Father's Day was the first day of summer, and here it is. Summer's here, and we're rolling. But let's go into Top Fuel. First of all, Josh Hart, R&L Carriers, doing an event out there. Was that yesterday? Was that today? Having drivers come out, and I think it's happening right now. Right? That's a good-looking car, a totally new look, the green and white. And I love that this kid, man, bringing in another sponsor. Way to go, Josh.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking. R&L Carriers is literally across the street, and I don't see his rig over there now. So I don't know if that maybe happened earlier or if they're going to do it tomorrow. It would probably make more sense if he does it tomorrow. If he comes in tomorrow, does the display, and then just comes across the street to get parked. But no, I think that Josh has shown that he's got a good, solid car. He's got a good, solid race team. He's young, and I think he's in a good place mentally, if that makes sense. That this is something he really wants to do. But he also is very, very focused on his business. I mean, he has just expanded Bernie's. I don't know if you've ever been down there. It's in Florida. I assume you might have stopped. Yeah, he owns like the city block, and building the buildings and doing the things and getting into the car business. So he's not getting so consumed with racing because he's got so much else on his plate. So it has to make sense. And, it's not, I don't think he's going to put himself in a position where, okay, well, let's go do this. Yeah, I know it's going to cost me this and that. But if a sponsor comes to him and he can honestly say, look, here's the deal. If you want me, here's what it's going to take. Matter of fact, the trailer just pulled around the corner. Here's what it's going to take. And here's what I can do for you. And and if you want to do it, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. And if that doesn't fit with what you're looking for, then no hard feelings. I understand. Maybe we can do something further down the road. But I really think that, that approach and his very business-like attitude and business-like demeanor with everything is what is making a lot of this stuff very possible.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what we need. We need aggressive, young, willing to try, willing to go out there and hustle. And he is doing a great job. Apparently it was yesterday. One of our Facebook users was suggesting that it was yesterday. Saw a lot of photographs all over the internet, and I love the look of that car. And yeah, truck drivers, trucking, big part, the good old US of A, and a big part of drag racing, getting from place to place. So I think, how many times, Alan, has someone come up to you and said, hey, man, how do I learn to drive for a team, right? CDL, I got a CDL. Many, many times. And so Josh is kind of using that to help out R&L Carriers. Great job by him. That having been said, going back to 2019, Steve Torrence, imagine that, right? Like here we are, a track where Steve Torrence, the defending race winner, and Speaking with Billy last week on the show, Billy was great. For those that didn't go back and watch it, go watch it on YouTube. It's great stuff. But, who will emerge? The Coletta is going to run special paint schemes here this weekend. Who will emerge and who can get the program going? We've got Norwalk and then the Western Swing. Somebody's got to step up and rival these guys. Antron Brown, clearly the guy who's been doing the best job of it so far with the big and new announcement about his team and all. But to me, I'm in sit back and watch mode. This is going to be good.
Right now, if I'm the Capco boys, no matter whether we're talking about Steve or Billy, hey, come and get it. Here's where we're at. Here's what we're doing. Everybody knows what we're doing. Everybody knows how we're doing it. There's no secrets over here. This is what's happening, and if you want to take it away from us, you're going to have to come take it away from us. They certainly aren't looking like they're going to slow down.
Absolutely. Brittany Force right in the middle of the field. Brittany and John doing a great Father's Day video. John is going to be on the show tomorrow, everybody. 1:30, John Force. I need the full WFO universe, like everybody who watches this show, to share that thing. I want it to be the biggest show ever. John's got some good stuff going on this weekend. But, watching Brittany in the videos with her dad, like if she could get up there and we could get back to that Steve's shaking in his boots moment. Except now where we got a whole bunch of season to come, man, that would be so good for our sport.
Well, car's been running good. Maybe could use a little bit more consistency, but the car's been running good. The thing that got the Capco boys going so well is that their cars run really good. There's no doubt about that, no question about it. But B, they also win so many intimidation races. Billy Torrance could have been had in the first round out in Epic. All you got to do is go down the racetrack. But guys come up and short out against him because this guy's going to run low ET of the world. We're going to have to try something to beat him. It's like, no, what you need to do is go out and run the race you know how to run and see what happens. With all those years when Dick LaHaye was winning races and championships, and his philosophy was always, don't give him a free one. Make the car go down the racetrack. If the guy goes out and runs low ET of the world, congratulations, you won the race. We'll see you next week. But don't let him get away with some of the stuff. And you earn those runs because of your performance. When you're running as good as they are, you push people into doing things that get out of their comfort zone. But you just got to not do that. I think Brittany's got a car that's certainly good enough to run with it. I still think Leah's got a great car. Last year she simply missed it, and I don't think there's any other way to put it. But she's got a car that can run with anybody right now. There's plenty of good competition out there, but just nobody is stepping up at the right time. And until they do, the Capco boys are just going to keep taking trophies back to Fieldwork.
Yeah, it's amazing. And a side angle on this that I wanted to share with you is that this past weekend I went and checked out the No Prep Kings race at Palm Beach International Raceway and actually participated and got down to 3 cars. But that's a whole thing. It's all about personalities. And I think about our drivers and I'm thinking about our personalities and the people that are involved in this sport. And I am just, by going to see that and really enjoying myself, it has made me appreciate what we've got going on even more. And that was really my top takeaway is like, all right, this is a very popular thing. Let me go check it out. Let me see what it is. Let me go really root around inside there and see what I can learn and understand about what's going on and eavesdrop on fans' conversations about what's going on over there. And all it did was reinforce what I knew to be true already, which is that what we are doing on a weekly basis or 23 events a year, et cetera, we've got such great personalities, like top to bottom in our sport. And I can't help but think, like, as I look at the points, of course, you got Justin Ashley and Josh Hart, two like young killers that are coming up trying to make their name. We already mentioned Brittany and Doug Coletta. How about Sean Langdon? This guy never gets mentioned, right? Like, what's he got to do? Multi-time world champion in everything he's pretty much touched. This guy's done everything. He's won races in funny car. He's 4th in points. He is like, I don't want to say anonymous, but silent. He's out there. And I feel like Langdon's the kind of guy that could rip off a couple of wins just like that. And then everybody will be talking about him.
Well, and he's also a guy who's not afraid to talk a little smack. And I mean, that's certainly something that I think our sport has always needed. And as I've said for years, it doesn't have to be disrespectful, right? I don't have to get out of the car and go, I hate Joe, that guy's a scumbag. But if you're sponsored by ABC Tool and I'm sponsored by XYZ Tool, There's nothing wrong with me getting out of the car going, my guys pay me to make sure, if he had better tools, he'd probably run better. What's wrong with that? Isn't that why you're there? Isn't that to promote? It's the whole kumbaya love fest. You're like, boy, I was really lucky to get by Joe that time. He's got a great team, and they're great guys. We got a lot of, our kids play together, and he's just a wonderful guy. I was lucky to be.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
why did you come here? You came to win the race, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. I would love for anybody after they beat one of the Capco boys to get out and say something about it. Not just, boy, man, am I lucky to beat those guys the way they're running. It's like, take that back to Kilgore. And again, it doesn't have to be disrespectful, but make the fans notice, make the fans realize that it's important. And then the next time you have to race them, the fans are going to take notice because they remember this is important. This is a big deal for these guys. All of those years, Hoffman and Force, or Bazemore and Force, or the rivalry was great because the fans cared. I still think that the biggest race of 2019 in Pro Stock was the World Finals when Greg was shut off in qualifying just because he wanted to race Eric. And the fans all paid attention to that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just that if you came to win the race, there's nothing wrong with saying I came to win the race. And again, you don't have to be respectful. You don't have to, but just tell him, hey, I'm here to beat him. My goal is to beat him. That's why I came. I didn't get lucky to beat him. I brought a better team than they did today, and I beat him. Simple as that.
So statements of fact, right? Statements of fact, like Bob Tasca Jr. on the starting line, guaranteeing that Bob was going to win the race. Okay, that there's a moment where someone who is really tactical about what they say could have said, yeah, I don't want to make that kind of a bold prediction because then if it doesn't come true, then I'm going to look a little bit foolish and I'm on the starting line. I made a prediction and people will be like, haha, your prediction didn't come true. You took a big chance and it failed. And how do you feel now? Right. But instead, he just went with it. You know what? We're gonna win the race. And what did the crowd do? They all felt it. They felt this emotional moment. Yeah. And it didn't happen. Oh, well, it didn't happen. But you got to take some risk, right? These guys are all big businessmen. Don't you have to take some risk to be successful? Take some risk, guys. Do it. Take some risk. Make a statement. Back it up. If it doesn't happen, come back the next week and do it again. And eventually it'll work out.
Yeah. And how cool would it have been if Robert gets out of the car after beating Bob Tasca and said, yeah, I just did that so they wouldn't have to lose all that money on the sale. I'm really thinking about those guys, saved you, sorry fans, now you can go buy a Chevy because they're going to be on sale next week. I mean, something, right? Just take something and run with it. Let them know. We all know, I don't want to say like rivalry, but we all know that, when Ford left Force, Tasca was a big part of Ford coming to John Force Racing in the first place. When they split and John went to Chevrolet, there's a rivalry there now. And again, not that anybody throw rocks at each other, but what's wrong with if Bob Tasca beats John or beats Robert or beats one of them going, maybe if he still had a Ford, he'd be running better. Or when one of the Chevrolet guys beats Tasca, the same thing. It's like, if you notice our performance really picked up when we went back to Chevrolet, something. I mean, give the fans something. There's still plenty of people. It's not like it used to be where, the Ford guys hate the Dodge guys, hate the Toyota guys, but there's still some of that. So why not go out and try to cultivate those fans? There are plenty of people out here that come out here and just are big Chevy guys. And again, the rivalry is probably not what it was 20 years ago, but there are still plenty of people out here that like Chevy. So why not get out of the car and say, yeah, glad I didn't lose, but that Ford over there, and let them know that you've got a little pride in your brand and you got a little pride in your stuff. And again, you don't have to badmouth anybody, but just be honest about it. Look, Chevrolet doesn't want to see a Mustang in the winter circuit. My job. I'm doing my job. Keeping that Mustang out of the winter circuit. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Exactly. And Robert Hight, when he was on a couple of weeks ago, said flat out, and we actually put out the clip. We were putting out clips for a little while, put out the clip that said, like, there's no one I would rather beat in New England than Bob Tasca. That was Robert. Robert said that on WFO. And what did he do? He went out there and beat Bob Tasca in New England. And so, okay, guess what? Now, if you're Bob Tasca, you went to New England, you had a good car, you wanted to win the race, your dad made this bold prediction, and who beat you? Robert Hight, after he said he was going to do it on WFO radio. So if you're Bob, that should bug you. That should bother you. You should want to come back and get back in it. And so, we don't always like stoke fires here, but if there's a fire to be stoked already, and there should be, we're pointing it out. And so that's what we're doing. And I noticed that, and that's what people need to feel, the freedom here in the post-pandemic world. Hopefully people will loosen up a little bit and realize like this is what has to happen, guys and gals out there. And so let's do it. Now, speaking of funny car, obviously it's going to be a great race, top to bottom. You got Task as the points leader, Force is second, JR Todd is third, and just top to bottom, you've got a lot of possibilities. I can't help but think about Tim Wilkerson, though, because if there's a couple of guys, we keep talking about them, right? Cruz Pedregon, Tim Wilkerson, guys that by having a couple of good races and a couple of race wins will fundamentally shake up the dynamic of what we're watching out there. Force versus Schumacher, Force versus Caletta. Get Wilkerson and Cruz winning some races. Cruz said something out in New England that I found to be interesting. He wasn't using a chin strap, and that's why he tagged the wall, and now he's got one. How about that? John Collins going over, and, this is the way I always did it. I always did it this way, and now he's doing it a different way, and Cruz is going to be better because of it.
And I think that's the thing. And I spoke to Cruz about that a little bit. I think there's a clip on NHRA.com where John Kernan went over and talked to him about it. But I think if you're Cruz, it's like, I've always done it this way. I've never felt the need to change it and just never even tried it. And then once he put it on the first time, he went, oh, so that's why everybody does it. Wow, it's better. Whit Bazemore for 100 years. I'll never run a throttle stop. I don't think I can control the throttle on my car. Well, it's better if you have one. It's better on the car. It's better for the tune-up. It's better, so if you're going to be, do you want to be, Mr. Macho Man, or do you want to give yourself every opportunity to go out there and win the race? And I actually spoke to Cruz a little bit. We spoke on the phone this week about a wide variety of topics. And that was one of the things he said. He said, look, I hit the wall in Houston, and it's like, wow, that was strange. And then I hit the wall again, and I'm like, okay, what's really going on here? And so, sat down and talked to John. He said, your problem isn't that you hit the wall. Your problem occurred 400 feet before you hit the wall. But you're having issues because his head was getting up into the padding, and he was getting the vibrations of the cars, and chin strap fixes that. And I think you'll be surprised how big a difference it'll make after he's made 15 or 20 runs with the thing, just simply because that's now one less thing he has to worry about. But I think it's going to take him a couple of runs to realize that he doesn't have to worry about that anymore, that problem is behind me. Now I can focus on what I really need to focus on. And I mean that, in every possible use of the word focus, because that was the problem.
Jason Line said something to me a long time ago that it just, he's kind of got this wise wisdom thing going on, directionally correct, all of that. But he says at some point in the timeline, all the experience that you've gained will work against you. And it's like, because things change so much that everything that was working is no longer working because everything changed so much. And you're used to everything that you learned and you have to relearn. And that's why I think it's so important to refresh the people around you. And we're seeing it happen in real time. If Cruz goes out there and wins a race on the Western Swing, or who knows, maybe even this weekend, we'll look back at little things like that and it'll make a difference. As far as that, if you want to follow up on that's great. Wilkerson, on the other hand, he's just like this guy who's just knocking at the door. And I know he wants that run back, but we're going racing this weekend. Wilk, go get him.
Yeah. And, I think, and I've run into it a couple of times over the years with different stuff is, I've been doing it like that for 25 years. And it never occurred to him or her that in the last 25 years, they found a better way to do it. And that's why you need to be open to the new stuff. I mean, a lifetime ago, I was working in a heavy truck shop, frame and front end alignment shop. And we had, this guy, Harry was his name, Dirty Hair. And he's like the gruff, old, gray-haired, gray-bearded guy that knows everything because he's been around for. And we had a new computerized four-wheel alignment machine that was a pretty highly technical, really advanced piece of equipment at the time. I mean, I think we had the only one. I believe we had the only one in Tucson when we got ours. And he wouldn't touch it. It's like, I've been doing alignment for 55 years. I don't need some stupid computer to do alignment for me. I know how to do it. You've been doing it for 55 years. Has it ever occurred to you that in the last 55 years, they came up with a better way to do it,
right?
A more accurate way to do it, a way, and he just absolutely refused to have anything to do with the machine. And it, became an issue in the rest of the shop because the rest of us, we wanted to learn, we wanted to do it. And, he'd go do his alignment and then we'd put the computer on it and go, look, you're off by 16. Oh, well, that 16 ain't going to make any difference. But why not be perfect if you can?
Right.
But that's, I think, what Jason said, there's a lot of wisdom in that. Is you get so used to, I've always done it like this. There's a better way to do it now. And you need to kind of embrace that. And I really think that's one of the big things, that the young generation coming in is that they don't know, right? We haven't learned. We don't have 25 years of habits that we have to unlearn if we want to do something different. We just jump in and go, this is the way you do it. This is the way you do it. And, but you have to, I think you always have to be open to doing new things. That was one of the really interesting things when I worked with David Nickens all those years ago, was he wasn't afraid of nothing. I mean, we'd be sitting around, come up with just the most bizarre, ridiculous, literally, I think if you told David, what if we spin the engine backwards, bolt the carburetors on the headers and blow the exhaust out that scoop? He'd go, let's try that. And some of the stuff that we did, and a lot of the other guys have done too, but some of the stuff was just bizarre. When you tell people, we ran a pro stock engine on the dyno with no oil pan. What? Well, we just wanted to see something. And what did you find out? That it makes a mess when you run a pro stock engine with no oil pan. But we did learn something from it. And that, kind of sent us down the road over here. And some of the other stuff, just the wacky stuff, the offset engines, the weirdo stuff, and things that were just like, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. Let's try it. A lot of it doesn't work, but it's real interesting being in that environment. And I think that's, a lot of people do get into the old, this is the way I've always done it. And it never occurs to them that there's now a better way. You just need to look around and find what it is.
Well, being an early adopter of technology, I think about, this device right here, right? Like, there's a lot of people in our community that, they still got the flip phone, right? They're like, I still have the flip phone, and they're wearing it like a badge of honor, but it's kind of a mark of inflexibility and inability to adapt to new technology. And
it took me a while to make that leap, but I don't know what I'd do without it.
Right.
I mean, I still remember when I got my first smartphone, the next race we were going to was Reinhart, and I had 30 days that I could bring this thing back, and they would give me back my flip phone, and I could tell everybody I tried it, and I was done. Right? You can quit yelling at me for being afraid to try new things. And so when I'm getting ready to check in for my flight to Reinhart, I get the email, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm that guy now, right? Because it was still relatively new to have boarding passes on your phone. But it's a boarding pass on the phone, right? So when I go to the airport now, I'm that guy. I walk up and go, beep. You guys see that? I'm that guy. and so I get to Brainerd. Now, I was flying in and out of actually Brainerd, Pearl Wing Airport in Brainerd, not in and out of Minneapolis. Sunday night, after the race is over, I'm sitting at the Black Bear having a cocktail and a bite to eat. And I'm like, oh, I can check in for my flight and get my boarding pass because I'm that guy.
Oops.
Couldn't get a boarding pass.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a boarding pass. And started getting frustrated because, me and technology. So after I went off on restart, signed in, went to the actual website instead of the app, I got so annoyed I just slammed the phone down on the bar. I was done. It's like as soon as I get home, I'm going back and get my old phone. This thing is just annoying me and I'm not dealing with it. So the next morning I go to the airport, and for anybody that's ever flown into a really, really small regional airport, Brainerd is a really small regional airport. I parked the rental car. I walked into the counter, and a guy a couple of counters over said, "Are you looking for Pete?" I'm like, "I don't know if he's." Yeah, he said, "He's out washing a car right now. He'll be back in a minute." Okay, so that's how big Brainerd is. The guy at the rental car counter is the same guy that washes the cars when they come back after round. I thought, okay, well, I got a minute. I'll go ahead and check in for my flight, get my boarding pass since this stupid phone doesn't work. So I walk over to the counter and I'm like, yeah, I'm on the flight. Da, 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 da. Oh, yes, sir. Here you go. And I said, yeah. I said, I don't know what the problem is. I said, tried to do this last night. And she said, honey, we don't have those fancy phone reading machines, so you couldn't use that here. And I went, oh. So apparently my smartphone was smarter than I was.
That's
I just didn't know it. But it's still very annoying, you know, like the do not disturb problem that I still have. But yeah.
Well, that's because you're an Android guy. All the iPhone guys still, we all laugh. But anyway, that's a different thing for a different day. And hey, someday Brainerd will get those. Like, hopefully, like we can modernize in those parts of the country that are, you know, people don't go there. So there's not a lot of money there. So they don't need to do it. They don't need to be fast. I encounter it in lots of places. It is.
They may have them by now. I'll find out this year.
They should. Krista Baldwin out there going to be racing this weekend. Grandpa still has the flip phone. Hey, Greek can have his flip phone. Okay. It's a big deal. The Greek's got a cell phone, let alone. But there's a lot of fun on here. You know, you never know. You might lose him. He doesn't. He says, get away from the TV. And that's really what this is. It's a little TV in your pocket as well. Think about that for a second. With all you can do, imagine a day without your phone. Oh, are you kidding? Alan sent me off to the iPhone store because I was freaking out so much in Charlotte because I had 40 minutes without my phone. He's like, just go, man. Just go. I was like now? He's like, yeah, just go. And I went to the iPhone store and this kid hooked it up in 1 second. Here you go. It's fixed. I digress.
Okay, now wait a minute. Mister, if you had an iPhone, you wouldn't have any problems.
Yes.
You're going crazy, and all you were doing was pushing the wrong button.
Yes.
When you go to the iPhone store, the guy went beep. Yeah. So don't give me the, you know, all us iPhone guys are like way up on technology, and you know, you're just a loser out in the North Maine woods with a flat tire.
Touche, Alan. Touche. Let's move on to Pro Stock, where you mentioned the Erica Enders, Greg Anderson run as the run of the year in 2019. And I actually think that might be the run. Like if we had to pick a most hyped single run of the last 5 years, I think that probably gets it because of all the hijinks and the shenanigans and the rivalry and all that was built up. And we're still talking about it to this day. Like there aren't so many runs that we're still talking about to this day that are just entrenched in all of our collective memory as something that was big and exciting and fun. And it was great. Greg Anderson, Summit Motorsports Park, Summit National, Summit's still an associate sponsor on him. He's 1 win away from Warren Johnson. He's got HendrickCars.com on the car. Mr. H has supported him in this time, and he's had the quickest car at every race, and he has yet to win since the HendrickCars.com sponsorship out there in Charlotte. Now, this is not, you know, it's just what we've always seen when any driver is butt up against one of the milestones. It gets really hard. In all sports, gets really hard. Home run record. And Greg is not there. You're saying no? You have a different opinion.
He was just saving it for here.
Okay.
He wanted to do it for Bill Bader. He wanted to do it at Summit Motorsports Park. He wanted to do it and get ice cream. You know, that's why he let Aaron Stanfield win last week.
Scoop.
Yeah, he was just saving it for him.
Well, that definitely is I
can't believe you didn't see through that, Joe.
The truth is that Rick Green said that to me in New England, that it was all cleverly planned out. I was like, get out of here. And, we'll see this weekend. He ties Warren Johnson at the house of Bader and gets an ice cream scoop. But really, though, that's one of the most.
If you want to get Mr. H's attention right now, you better win.
Well, he does. He does need to win. Kyle Larson has not lost since he's been on WFO radio. Just saying. Since he came on the show, the Coke 600, the guy hasn't lost. My phone should be exploding from racers. Alan's phone should be falling over because of all the different stuff that's going on. People trying to get on the show to take advantage of the WFO bump. What are you doing there, Reinhart? Look at this guy. Now he's frozen, and now he's gone. My dad didn't want to get a smartphone, but my mom got him hooked up. Now he likes it. Of course, older gentlemen, don't be afraid to try new things. Chances are they're better, or they wouldn't have been invented. You know, the older thing is better. It usually stays popular. Been there, done that, couldn't answer a call because I didn't slide the answer symbol. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. All right, let's see. Reinhardt's back. He just exploded. You okay?
My phone was on vibrate, so when it vibrated, it fell over.
There you go. Brian Brewster says EE is going to take out Greg in the final round. Well, nobody wants to be the person that is the person that goes down in history as the one who got beaten when Greg tied Warren Johnson, right? It's just like Greg didn't want to be the first person to lose to Erica Enders in her first win. There's just something about being the footnote in history.
Yeah, I think it should be Erica.
Ooh, wow. Well, wouldn't that be? What do they say? History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Okay. But I just think wouldn't that be a fun final round?
Yes.
I mean, however it turns out, I'm not rooting for anybody, but however it turns out, for Erica to be able to, push it off again, or for Greg to be able to finally get the milestone over his biggest rival, I think that'd be perfect. I think we should just send the rest of them home.
And yet they're not going anywhere, and we have seen it. Money Mason McGahey, Chris McGahey, his dad, won here the last time we were here in 2019. A lot of players in this mix. Dallas Glenn doesn't care about any of that. Hartford, of course, has had a really quick and fast hot rod. We got 20 pro stockers on the property. The Quadras are all back with their Mustangs, so there's going to be Mustangs in the field, you would think, assuming one of them qualify. And just thinking about all that is going on, Aaron Stanfield sitting there second in the points, 105 back. Aaron, by the way, we did like a little test for nicknames for Aaron Stanfield. Apparently, within the family, within the team, within the circle, he doesn't choose this, but they all call him the Iceman because nothing phases this young kid throughout the tuning of the showdown cars, etc. They all call him Aaron the Iceman Stanfield. Just want to share that with you.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'll come up with something better.
Well, good luck. Good luck. This was created within the team. But if you can come up with something better, they like the Iceman or Ice, as I've shortened it.
You don't always get to make your own nickname.
Well, that's the thing. He didn't. He said, I don't get to make my own nickname, but his wife, Craig Gaultier, others. But anyway, go to work on it. Stanfield.
I never met anybody who wanted his wife to call him the Iceman.
I'm just going to leave it out.
Honey, you don't care about my feelings?
She loves it. Maybe that's why Jolie is the perfect woman, right? Because she doesn't care about any of that. She just cares about the racing. I don't know. I do know that as I look at the entry list, there's a lot of good quality factory hot rods that are going to be running in this race. Yeah,
it should be fun. There's a lot. There's going to be a lot going on this weekend. We've got basically just about everything on the property here. So there's a reason that this is a 4-day event. We're actually going to be running time trials and qualifying for the Lucas cars on Thursday, and we can start a little bit early, and it should be good. It's just everybody hated that we didn't get to come here last year. Everybody really, really excited that we get to come back here this year. Give us 4 days of decent weather, and we will put on a show. I promise you.
Pro Stock Motorcycle, like everybody, is going to be there. Like everybody, Gianna Salinas is back. This is the one that everybody's back. Corey and Joey, and everybody is in this. And do you remember who won the last race in Pro Stock? Like the most recent race in Pro Stock Motorcycle?
Yes, Steve Johnson.
Steve Johnson, that crazy, wild, emotional victory. He sat down at the finish line for his interview, all that stuff. Steve Johnson is coming into this race as the most recent race winner, and that's going to be a little bit of fun. There's always spotlight that is attached to that.
Now, I didn't catch him when he was on the show with you, but did you ask him if he now knows the difference between a professional racer and a hobby racer?
We talked about it generally. But he did say that, he was driven and motivated to work harder, and he did and has.
Yeah, he just said Christmas party.
It was crazy. Like he toured us around his whole shop in Alabama. He brought us upstairs and downstairs and into all the different rooms and into the broom closet. It was really amazing. It was amazing. He showed us the boardroom. It was like this vacant area that is like waiting to be a bustling race shop. And Steve was great. I think the guy's got a shot to go out there and go back to back.
Got a good motorcycle. And, and he's got some confidence now. And that certainly doesn't hurt anybody. But, realizing what it takes to actually come out and be competitive, because everybody knows how driven he was, right? He was always the guy who was after, a little bit more PR or, a little bit more TV time or a little bit more. And he always had just boundless energy to make that stuff happen. And when he realized what you need to win is to put in a little bit more effort, and he ain't scared to put in a little bit more. He just needed to get all that energy focused in the right place. And you're definitely seeing the results of that.
That's it. Focus the energy. Moving over to Pro Modified, where it's been a while since we saw these fellas as well. Stevie Fast, the points leader, or second, excuse me, behind Justin Bond, but had DNQ'd for a race. So he is actually storming up on the field. But we've got a ton of good quality pro mod cars, including Mike Salinas, who is the newest pro modified driver. Rick Horde is back after his Orlando crash that he had at the start of the year at the World Door Slammer Nationals. Jose Gonzalez, Alex Laughlin. Going to be very interesting to see the pro mod cars back. And as you said, like Bader wants, explain that, Alan. Bader wants all the categories. It's not every track gets all the categories. Bader wants everything we got, like both barrels.
Well, they've got a lot of room here, and that certainly helps. And, the fans up here are very diverse. There are a lot of fans of different things. And Bill just basically wants to try to please everybody he can. And he wants Norwalk to be a race that everybody wants to come to, as well as a race that everybody wants to win. There's a reason that he goes so above and beyond with the extra fan amenities. And I'm not talking about the dollar ice cream. That's part of the place. It's in the place's DNA. But so many of the extra fan amenities and so much of the stuff that he does, the ice cream scoop is one of the most coveted trophies in NHRA right now, because you can only get one here. And you know that in order to get one, you're going to have to beat everybody else who wants one just as badly as you do. And he has just gone, it's what he's always done. I mean, even before this was part of the NHRA family, that's what he's always done, is to put on, do more than what people expect, put on a bigger show than what people are thinking they're going to get, make them want to come back next time. And he does the same thing for the racers. He makes everybody want to come here, want to be a part of this, and certainly to want to win.
I just thought about the walk up the bleachers to get to the broadcast booth up there. I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be great. And I'm excited about my ice cream as well. We got 20 alcohol dragsters. Again, just a similar situation. Everybody, this is right in the middle of the country. It's a great facility. It's a great race. We missed 2019. Like, if you are going to circle a race on the calendar, this is definitely one of them. Alcohol, Funny Cars got 15 cars, one short of a full field, but 20 alcohol dragsters and a lot of cars running well. Rachel Meyer had won a couple of races. You mentioned Rich McPhillips and those guys. Matt Cummings going to be driving their car. The Real Deal Mixed Steel is out there trying to win a race. Very interesting field of alcoholers.
Yeah, should be loaded. And, just bring it. Let's get started. When you're going to have to fight for the qualifying spot, that's just going to make it even better on race day, because your pressure's on from the time you unload the car, not just from the time it's first round or the time you get the second round and know that, now I'm going to have X, Y, Z. But from the time you unload the car that you're going to have to fight your way in the field, and that just makes it a better show all the way around.
Blake says he wants to buy you a pound of ice cream, Alan. He's been saving up the pennies and dimes, and he's ready to buy a little ice cream. And so that might happen out there. I have already blown the diet, so I guess I might as well just do it 2 weeks in a row.
Well, they got the stairs.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
So you can wipe it out, while you're here.
Right, like one flight of the bleachers is equal to 1 pound of ice cream, right?
No, never getting in the elevator all weekend is equal to 1 pound of ice cream.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with avoiding.
No way do you make that commitment.
No elevator. You won't see me. All right, we got to talk Showdown, though. Factory Stock Showdown real quick before we move on. Just because, the Fords are back in force now. And this is the first race where the Fords are back in force, and we're going to see what's what. We got 27 cars. They're all back. Here we go. What's going to happen? Bill Skillman was down there. Where was that? Houston, and then he had to leave. So we didn't really get to see that where we are in terms of parity. And now they're all back. They're like, gang rushing the field once again. And we're going to get a really good indication of where the parity is. Leah had been doing some testing of her drag pack out there this past week or this week in Indy. I'm expecting the best showdown race we've had in 2 years.
Yeah, I think it should be good. I'm not sure if Mark Pauck has his new car or not. I believe they were hoping to debut it here, this being, basically a home race for him. He's not from Norwalk per se, but he is from Ohio, and so he'll have a bunch of friends and family and folks up here. Aaron Stanfield ain't going anywhere. It's going to be fun. David Barton ain't going anywhere. I think the key is going to be whoever figures it out the quickest, because you come up here. If you come up here going, okay, we better be fast right out of the box and spin the tires twice, you're going to really be putting yourself behind the 8-ball early in the weekend. So whoever figures it out the quickest. And we should know that by Friday afternoon.
We should know it by Friday afternoon when I will be arriving in Norwalk. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts for everybody out there who is watching WFO either live or on the podcast or in the future?
No, other than come to Norwalk, if there's any way, shape, or form that you can get here, come on. We are looking forward to packing the place, and we're going to put on a heck of a show for you. So, beautiful day out here right now, and all we need is a couple of jam-packed grandstands.
Cannot wait. And I'm going to talk about that afterwards. I read your recent column in National Dragster. I got my Dallas Glenn covered National Dragster just like a couple of days ago, right? They always come late for me for whatever reason. And I read your story about Goodbye Atlanta. Very good stuff. And, this is it. We're going into the summer of NHRA drag racing as far as I'm concerned. And hopefully everybody will get out there and have a good time.
Yeah, there was a whole lot more Atlanta stories. The time that I had surgery in Dr. Torsvight's trailer didn't make the cut. But yeah, there's been a lot of.
Wow. Little dentistry at the pits. I love it.
No, he was a heart surgeon.
So what did he do to you?
You don't have to know everything.
This guy is having like actual surgery. I know you got, what was the dental? You have too many stories, Alan. Didn't you go to see somebody in the middle of the night, dentistry?
Yeah, that was in Brainerd.
Oh, see? Yeah. Unbelievable. Well,
that was the Sunday night root canal when I got a text from somebody. I don't remember who it was, but whatever it was 10:30 or 11 o'clock Sunday night in Minnesota. And I got a text that said, "What are you doing?" And I, typing back with one hand while I'm sitting in the chair gown. And I typed back root canal. And she responded, "You must be drunk. I'll talk to you later."
No, you were really getting a root canal. Exactly. Really? I haven't had a cavity yet, so we'll see. Maybe someday. Hope not. All right, Alan, great job. I'll see you Friday.
All right, Joe. Take care.
There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. Super excited about this weekend, and I'm gonna get all hyped up for everybody. I do want to say, though, if you just logged on, you didn't hear the first few minutes of the show, Alan and I talked about the passing of Kyle Seipel. News that happened really right before the start of the show, maybe an hour. Kyle, friend of all racers, Brian Loans, has a great post up on Facebook, and countless others pouring out tributes to a guy who put his money where his mouth was, right? When he thought that there was something that could be happening for bracket racers, big money bracket racers. He and Peter got together and did the spring flings, and the people who have worked with him, raced with him, generally have, I've never heard anything negative said about Kyle Seipel. So we're all a little heavy hearts right now, honestly. But when you run the process, right, like how do we deal with this? The answer is we go out and have as much fun as we can possibly have, and we enjoy our lives as much as we can possibly, and we enjoy the people around us as much as we can possibly do it. And that's the only way to live, right? That's WFO. That's the meaning behind the show. 100% all out with zest, zeal for life, all of that. And, you got a job that you hate. Well, there's all kinds of jobs out there, man. Go get it. Go do it. That's what it's about. And it seems to me that that's what Kyle was about. And so we're going to try to have a good time this weekend. I had a good time last weekend. I'll tell you about that. The show's going to go on for a little bit longer. So stick around. John Force tomorrow, guys, 1:30. Here's the deal. Got a bunch of stuff going on. I really would like this John Force show to be something special. So bring some A-list questions and stories, and the best of the best will get shown to John. 153 career wins. What more can this guy do? It's been amazing to watch John in his career. So if you're the curator of a John Force fan page, if you are in a Force group on Facebook, share the show, get it out there. 1:30 tomorrow live, and then afterwards we will have John Force. I did mention I raced this past weekend at Palm Beach International Raceway. It was a really cool and fun experience. My first heads-up drag racing experience, instant green. Got down to 3 cars. Really cool stuff. Had a good time. I'll go in depth in a different place. The Ignition podcast, I told a lot of the stories of the lessons that I learned from my experience out there. And they've got a good product. They really do. They've got a good show, good product, fan base of people who are totally available to become fans of NHRA drag racers. That's basically what I got. That the majority of the people that were there at No Prep Kings are television watchers and found a show that they like, and they watch the show and they know the show. And as I eavesdrop on their conversations, they were talking about episodes and things that happened and really like right on the surface of racing. And as they get more into it, they are definitely available to become fans of drag racing in a wider way. I would never expect anyone to give up fandom in something that they like, but you can definitely add new stuff. And I think that's the goal. I've been thinking about it a lot, honestly. The way that I was able to go out there and race. Instant Green was pretty cool. Excuse me. Instant Green was pretty cool. Final round. Listen to the Ignition show. I tell the whole story of how I got tricky. Had to pull out some tricks to be successful. Pretty interesting. Look at this. John Force still undefeated since being on WFO 2. I don't know about that. You only die once, you live every day. That is a great little quote right there, Dragster Jeff. Florida is a long way from where they mail them. Your mail carrier is reading it. Maybe. I would hope that my mail carrier was reading it. I don't think that's the case for my national dragster. And I don't know what's up with the mail, but I'm getting them late. Like I'm getting them late. I don't know if I need to complain. I don't think so, because I know what's in there, but I'm definitely getting them way after everybody else gets them. National dragsters. If only I knew somebody to talk to about that. Hey, the people who make it possible for me to do WFO, we pushed this back till now out of respect for the start of the show, for the passing of Kyle. But I got to tell you about Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. We're doing something live on their Facebook page and YouTube channel on Thursday, 4 p.m. Lake Speed Jr. is going to be at Comp Cams with Billy Godbold, and we're going to really dig deep into camshaft technology as a hidden horsepower live. So go right now to their YouTube channel, subscribe, click the bell, their Facebook page, subscribe, click the bell, and be ready to watch Hidden Horsepower live. And if you are an engine geek, you will love it greatly. And if you're just a casual drag racing fan, I have no doubt you will learn something that you can apply. Also, samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. I always think about these guys when I think about Factory Stock Showdown. We had Factory Stock podcast for a while, and they were basically the backbone of how the sport got to where it is right now. They put it to where it is right now. Constant Aviation has taken it up and done a great thing. But all the graduates, all the young students, all the people that are involved in drag racing, thanks to samtech.edu. If you want to follow that road, go to samtech.edu and tell them you heard about it here on WFO Radio. Appreciate Brian and everybody over there in that family doing a great job supporting WFO. And of course, Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. 817-924-6821. Marvin sells grills, sells Primo grills, sells all the high-end stuff. It's down there in Fort Worth, Texas. But if you want to experience the joy of Rodak's, just call and order some coffee, some hot sauce, and some spice rub. And you will enjoy it greatly. It's just next-level stuff. It's not the cheapest, but that's for a reason, of course. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Frank with an interesting story. The newest licensed funny car driver, Travis Shoemake, goes down to Hawley's school, got his funny car license. Trip Shoemake was his dad, second-generation racer. And Frank getting him tuned up and licensed, and he has got big plans to go out there and chase sponsorship for the big show in Camping World Drag Racing. Good luck to Travis. I hope he does very, very well out there. Frank Hawley can make you the next champion race car driver, or just give you the Dragster Adventure experience and have a little fun. They travel around the country with that program. Big thanks to Frank. Nitro Fish, if you're going to Norwalk, we're trying to set a record. I know it's dumb, right? But I want to sell the most WFO radio t-shirts out of the Nitro Fish trailer that we ever have as a milestone for the show. The 10th anniversary t-shirts, the one with WFO Joe on the back, right, is available. Look at that. That's me. And it says wide something open. I don't know. You can't really say because it's obscured. There's a bunch of stuff going on in front of that word. I think it's freaking open or fast. You can't really tell. But WFO Radio podcast, Podfather of Drag Racing, 10-year anniversary t-shirt. It's great stuff. It's available at the Nitro Fish trailer. Go up and see Tamara, see Keelan, say WFO, and they'll be like, wow, we're selling another WFO t-shirt. Do it. That's the plan for the weekend, and get some other gear. Who knows? And remember, in the WFO radio store, we've got all kinds of stuff as well. Put your comments in the comment section, final comments, as we get ready to roll on out of here. What a show it has been. So much fun talking with Alan Reinhart and just kind of getting ready for Force tomorrow. All right, I'll tell you one story from my weekend of no prep racing. All right, there's a couple of things that I learned. One of which, like, here's one of the cars. Look at the front end on that thing. That's nothing but Camaro, and that's a really fast car. It's got a supercharger and zoomies. So imagine those supercharger and zoomies are not there, and it's just a 500 cubic inch Pro Stocker with a Liberty. Okay, yeah, I just spent a lot of money for a lot of people. Sorry, guys, but right. Yeah, exactly. And in the snow prep racing, heads up, 8th mile instant green. And I've got the rear drive GTO, and started out, it was, all kinds of cars, Hemis and Mustangs, and just all kinds of cars in there. And first round, I was matched up against a Subaru WRX STI. And I was a little annoyed. And honestly, I was annoyed by this because I don't think all-wheel drives are in the spirit of the rule of no prep. It's not in the spirit of the rule. You're going to have a no prep race, so you're diminishing traction. Somebody shows up with an all-wheel drive car. That goes against the spirit of the rule. Of course, you got double the traction. How do you not be successful with an all-wheel drive car? But through vast experience, superior driving, I was able to win first round, and then got down to 3 cars late in the rounds. All my Ignition listeners are laughing greatly right now. And I had to run this Trackhawk all-wheel drive Hemi Jeep Cherokee. All-wheel drive, again, not in the spirit of the rules, man. Not in the spirit of the rules. Here I am trying to get hooked up, and he's got all this technology just pulling him along. Really? Whatever. So what I tried to do is I tried to distract him on the starting line. So once he lit 3 bulbs, I honked the horn a couple of times and went in. And he was distracted, and I got to jump on him, and he just flew right by me. It was terrible. And I saw him go on, and it's like all-wheel drive, man. But I had a great experience, and it was a lot of fun. Most importantly, the windows on the GTO worked, Chris. Thank you very much. Up and down, over and over again, up and down the windows. Great stuff. Tomorrow, once again, John Force on the show. Do not miss it. All right, let's see what your final comments are. Not you got along. Yeah, it was. Blake says that was a cool car. Great show today, says Monica. Will your shirts be like the one you're wearing? No, they're T-shirts. It's the WFO Radio T-shirt. The one I'm wearing is like special order on the WFO website. We'll be doing that. Let's see. I got the guys at Barnes Custom Engines listening to Hidden Horsepower. They love it. Hey, way to go, Dragster Jeff. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, Hidden Horsepower is the bomb, really, when it comes to engine technology podcasts. And it's not really because of me. It's because of the guests we have. We got a new one going to be coming out real soon. Diesel technology. You'll be blown away. Got to keep those flying no-prep cars fast as cool, but keep them on the ground. Well, absolutely. Want to keep safety up, destruction of equipment down, as much as some fans like to watch crashes. It's unsustainable. You don't want anybody crashing their equipment. Some artist makes this amazing thing, and then it gets destroyed. Like, I don't like that. That was horrible. I want to thank Pat Musey for the invite, by the way. I got to hang out with Pat and Lizzie for the duration of the event and saw drag racing from another perspective. And that brings me to this, my final thought. And those of you who have stayed on for an hour and 15 minutes of live stream, thank you for staying around. I put my opinions at the very end because I feel like they matter the least compared to everything. Like, who cares about opinions after all? That's what the Ignition show is all about. But really, it's more about fun. But if you read my most recent NHRA National Dragster column, now is the time. Our sport is loaded with people and personalities who say things similar to this. Oh, I used to go to drag races. Yeah, I went back in 2005. It was awesome, man. Yeah, I got to go back someday. It was cool. Now is the time. Stop delaying. I was going to say something else. I was going to go Reinhart on WFO. Stop messing around. Pick a track, buy a ticket, bring your friends. The sport of drag racing needs you. We need those of us involved in the sport, who enjoy the sport, who love the sport, who appreciate the sport in all of its forms. A show of force and passion for this sport right now, as the economy is opening up, as our world is opening up. You watch the news, and I know a lot of people have sworn off all news, and they think they're going to get all the truth in the world from their Facebook page. It's not true, guys. The rest of the world is still going through some heavy stuff. We're one of the only countries that's getting to enjoy the world as we are right now. Things open, full capacity at Sonoma, full capacity here this weekend in Norwalk, full fields. If that can't get you excited, I don't know what will. If you're watching WFO radio, you love drag racing, my goodness. I'm not that entertaining to talk to you about something that you're not interested in. Stop waiting around. Oh, I'll go next year. Oh, I went 2 years ago. Go now. Buy a ticket. Set your DVR. Watch the race. Have a watch party for you and your friends that you trust, or, however you want to deal with that. Have a watch party. Watch the stuff on Fox. Those guys are doing the best job they can possibly can. Now is the time for drag racers. I've been overloaded with stories of the great stuff that happened back in the day. And, oh man, drag racing this and drag racing that. And remember this racer and remember that racer. And how about these racers that we got right now? Do you want some place for them to grow into, look at Josh Hart with Arnell Carriers. They're bringing in new sponsors. Now is the time. Now is the time. Not next week, not tomorrow, not next year. Now is the time. We're going to Norwalk. If you are within what's reasonable? I was going to say 10 hours, but that's not true. That's not reasonable. If you're within a 6-hour drive from Norwalk, there is no reason you shouldn't hop in the car and go spend a little money on your way in the local businesses, buying sandwiches, going to the track, checking out the race, stay in a hotel. The country needs you. The world needs you. The businesses need you. Everybody needs you. Drag racing needs you. The racers need you. They need you to do that now. Total, straightforward ask as someone who is in and involved in motorsports. Now is the time to get back out there, and we're starting to see it. NASCAR in Nashville, you're starting to see it. New England Dragway, starting to see it. If you haven't been vaccinated, you don't want to be vaccinated. So that shouldn't hold you back. Because everybody that I know wants to be vaccinated, has gotten vaccinated, and just about everybody I know is vaccinated, by the way. Everybody I know. And we're walking around feeling great about it. That's not your deal, that's fine. I would, think you should wear a mask, but keep your germs off other people. Poor old guy gets it. You killed him, but that's a different story. Get out there and race. Local track, support. Now is the time. And I think I think it's possible that we have a renaissance in the sport, a resurgence of the sport. I think things could get maybe better than they have been in the last 10 years. Anything is possible now. It's a whole new universe. Joey Rocket. What's up, Joey? He's going to be in Topeka, Indy, and St. Louis. 3 races for Joey Rocket. I love it. Way to go. Missing that they're not coming to Seattle. Hopefully they get there sometime. Maybe looking at Vegas. Vegas, baby. Yeah. Okay, Seattle. Very bummer of a story. Pick another one. Go to Vegas. Exactly. Oh, my gosh. That Vegas race in October, it's going to be mega. WFO, best on the planet. Thank you, Jay. Jay's a Patreon. If you want more behind the scenes, WFO, patreon.com/WFO radio, where you can pay for the show. It's as little as $5 a month. Really, we ask you whatever you feel comfortable with. And everybody gets the same stuff. You're part of our WFO advisory board. You earn some gear over time. Great stuff. Blake, see you tomorrow at 1:30. See you, Blake. Appreciate it. Thanks to Alan Reinhart and everybody else. Thank you for listening and watching the Ignition Show in the archive for my full no prep experience. You can watch there. Tomorrow we got this guy. But we're thinking about this guy. And to Marvin Rodak and Total Seal Piston Rings, samtech.edu, Frank Hawley's, working on some things with some new sponsors coming on the show. You know, the opportunities are limited because I can only tell you about so many sponsors. You can always reach out, Joe at WFOradio.com. Hope you guys have some good questions for Force tomorrow. We'll leave it at that. See you next time right here on WFO Radio.